When a Catholic couple decides to get married, it takes a good 6 months to a year, or sometimes even longer, before the wedding actually takes place. And the reason for that is because the Church requires all engaged couples to go through a period of marriage preparation before they actually get married. And many couples will see this as just another big stressor during what's already an extremely busy and stressful time. But going through marriage without having any sort of preparation, it's really kind of like taking somebody who has never gone scuba diving before, giving them the gear and just throwing them into the ocean without any lessons and hoping that they'll be okay. And in a lot of ways, getting into marriage without any sort of preparation is very much like just jumping into the deep end of the ocean and just hoping that you'll stay afloat. The Church doesn't want to leave couples just adrift to try and figure out this marriage thing on their own. And as you know, the Church sees marriage as an incredibly sacred, beautiful, lifelong commitment. And so the Church doesn't just want to leave people to their own devices to try and figure things out. And so the marriage preparation is really intended to give couples a roadmap and tools that they need in order to establish a really nurturing and special and healthy relationship, one that has God at the foundation of it all. And so that's why the Church takes marriage preparation so very seriously. Now, the marriage preparation can look a little bit different depending on what parish you belong to. But in my case, there were a few steps that my fiance and I had to go through. And one phase was that we had to take an assessment called the Focus Inventory. And this is basically designed to see how compatible we are and on various different areas related to marriage. So it'll ask about things like your family of origin and how you talk about finances, like communication, how you resolve conflicts, your thoughts about intimacy and about parenting and all of that. And so we had to each take it separately, and both our scores were submitted. And then we had a series of meetings with a pastoral associate at our parish, and basically she reviewed all different sections of the inventory with us. And we did this over a period of a few months, and we met about 4 times. And what we did was we discussed areas that we really had high agreement on, areas that we hadn't necessarily discussed yet, and areas where there was a little bit of a discrepancy. And so we kind of talked about all of that. And what was really helpful was that we realized that while in general our communication was pretty good, that there were certain things that were pretty important that we hadn't really talked about yet. And so that was super helpful, and it helped us to have these really in-depth and important conversations about all different aspects of married life. So that was one big part of our preparation. We also had to go through a conference called Pre-Cana, and this is something that I believe all Catholic couples are required to do. And again, it's basically, it can be a conference, it can be a seminar, they could be smaller groups, larger groups. It can take a lot of different forms. But basically, it's a conference that really helps couples to learn a little bit about the spiritual side of marriage, but the main focus is on all those practical kind of elements of a married life and kind of how to talk about all different issues and how to better communicate with each other. So that was another part. We also had another meeting with our pastoral associate where we discussed the Catholic teaching on marriage and reviewed the Catholic marriage vows so that we were really clear about what it meant, that Catholic marriage is a sacrament, that it's a sacred covenant, it's a lifelong commitment, and that for a Catholic marriage to be valid, there's certain conditions that need to be met. So each person has to enter into the marriage completely willingly with full consent. They need to commit to being faithful to one another, and they're also to be receptive to the possibility of having children. Only then did we actually start to work with the church staff to plan the actual wedding itself. And as I said, the marriage preparation at your parish, it might look a little bit different, but those are the main kind of elements that it really involves. Now, all that being said, meetings and conferences and assessments can really only take you so far. And so my single best piece of advice for Catholic couples who are going to be getting married is this. Find a Catholic couple who have a strong and healthy and God-centered marriage to be your role models and to be your mentors. A couple that can discuss with you any concerns that you have, any challenges you might be facing, and any questions that you might have. And having that kind of support is something that's truly invaluable for any couple. Now, in my case, my fiance and I were just so incredibly fortunate because my parents were really the best kind of Catholic role models that we could have hoped for. My parents together, their marriage is incredibly strong and incredibly nurturing. And I see the way that they take care of each other and they respect each other and they really listen to each other and they share their faith together as well. And even after 40 years, my parents just truly love each other's company, and they are truly an inspiration. My fiance and I were extremely fortunate that right in our own family, we had a couple that could mentor us and guide us and who were super open and super supportive and helped us through any challenges, any questions we had, any worries, anything that we needed. They were there to provide support. Now, if you don't actually know a Catholic couple that you feel would be a good role model for you or a mentor, I would definitely advise speaking with your pastor or someone in the parish office, and they would certainly be able to help connect you with another couple in the parish or in the area who can help to mentor you through your marriage preparation and hopefully after you're married as well. Because one thing that I've discovered is that really finding that Catholic couple that can be your mentor and your role model, well, that's really the single best way to truly understand the beauty and the meaning of Catholic marriage. That's really the single best way to do that. And it's also the very best way to know how to nurture your own marriage as well. So those are some thoughts that I had about Catholic marriage prep, and I really hope that will be helpful for those of you out there who are preparing for marriage. Thank you for being here, and have a blessed day.